it's just incredible how low that is, the percentage. And there's 36.5% of the market share that's not illustrated on here in the top 25. So imagine just how many small, mediocre companies are probably out there that are covering people's major assets. Feels good.
I'm just part of Allianz.
The Allianz, okay. So that yeah. Gotcha.
Doesn't happen very often. He's wrong.
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was correct.
Doesn't happen very often.
That's not why I did that. I just thought I have a device to answer that question.
Oh, that's what I would have.
So it's important whenever you have a mismatch between the home value, the general home value of where your client is and what they're being covered with, you need to evaluate that more so than just in general, though you should do this for everybody because there's a high likelihood that should change, and everything is a premium decision too in the grand scheme of what you're dealing with. But it's important to really know where they fall, which ones are more likely to be covered in lower valued homes versus higher valued homes. Some of those play in a lot of different areas. I see Cincinnati kind of going down a little bit in value into the below the million into the 300, but they're starting to play more. I probably could put Travelers up in that million plus. I see it. They've got a certain policy that mimics the guaranteed replacement cost anymore. So some of those carriers kind of play within the two different rooms. Everybody that it's an interesting, it's a monkey see, monkey do mentality with a lot of these companies because Chubb for forever just dominated this entire, $1 million home industry or in piece of the industry, and Cincinnati and Travelers in essence based their entire contract over Chubb's and just priced below in order to enter that marketplace. There's some different nuances. There's not as much international travel coverage and more like elite type wealth things you would consider. But they basically used the same exact contract and then went out and just beat everybody up on price from a lower price point and dealt with it. So Chubb, I think, has probably dropped market share, I would imagine, in the course of the last 5 years versus increased it by things. So specialty type carriers that I put on there or specialty type considerations, Progressive, usually if you got a bad driving record, that's the natural spot of where you go is Progressive. Progressive is typically the case for what Chris mentioned earlier, and I didn't break it out, but you definitely could have a breakout on boats or jet skis or different type of watercraft that you would utilize, for general personal type use. Progressive tends to be the one that always is at play. And then Lloyd's of London, I've seen on some very rare occasions if you have personal property that are outside the risk. If you have, Lloyd's will sometimes do a high-valued person that has terrible insurance type scores or driving records, and they want to lay off that risk. They're different. Arlington Road does a lot of the sub risk.
Iron Shores does a lot of the wind stuff down in Florida. That's where I see that a lot. The Carolinas, yeah, same thing. So there's some, there's wind damage and there's flood. Well, the flood